Bing bongy bong, bing bongy bong. This is Joe, the bearded historian. He'll tell you an interesting story. Be careful of his soldiers, they can be brats. This is Angel, she's an entity. She'll cause chaos and plant her hands at you. This is Sue, she likes spirits, not the alcohol. She's the reason this channel exists. This is David, he likes fire trucks. He's here occasionally. Bing bongy bong, bing bongy bong, bing bongy bong. We preserve his story.
Alright, this is a fun local story about weather and its unpredictabilities and how it can affect all of us from time to time. So hopefully you'll enjoy that. But before all of that, we've got a race, and I chose penguins because cold noises. Are you ready? Here we go. Shout out time. Here's a shout out just for you. You support me, I support you. This shout out is for our friends. Let's see who it is today. Cameron. Okay, there we go. I see Cable. I see Steve and Tina. Who else can I see? There's Thorken. Okay, you're all grouped together. Can't see anybody. Live in Love. I think that was Lynn. There's Josie. Let's see. A&M maybe? Oh yes, cool. I got that. DG, D9. Hang on a minute. Alright, let's try this again. Maybe. There it goes. Okay, there's Yogi, Eddie, Hillbillies, who else do we see? Northern Woman, I think. There's Zoll. Vaughn is back there, I think. Or in there, I guess I should say. There's South Dakota coming out from the back. GA Girl, Northern Woman. Liz is there. Rushmore. Shadow. Oh, it looks like it's going to be Northern Woman. Okay, here we go. Alright, so we have here, it's Northern Woman. So we've got music, and she does chapters of books, and sometimes there's a doggo, and there's some shorts, and lives. Ooh, highway. And it says, welcome to my channel. This is a peaceful space dedicated to art of slow living and beautiful world around us. Hikes, songs, wisdom, and all kinds of things. So check them out. Like, share, comment, record. All right. We're going to talk about weather because weather is fun, interesting, and historical.
Yes.
Wait, historical?
Historical and hysterical.
Ah!
It works both ways. Now, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, may I have your attention for 2 seconds? Time's up. Yep. Now, for the fun of it, you know, we live out here in western South Dakota where the weather's a little weird. No, you know, you can't deny it.
Only a little weird.
Just a little weird.
Only a little weird.
Let's count the things that we've had fun. We had over 100-mile-an-hour wind gusts come through in the last 2 weeks. Just today, here on Tuesday, we actually went from Rapid City, where it was sunny, to Sturgis, where it was snowy and windy and gusty, and then we went around the side of Bear Butte. you could finally see the mountain, and it was actually halfway decent. And on the way home, the storm followed us south. But this is perfectly normal. Now, speaking of fun weather, we had things like Winter Storm Atlas, which killed thousands of cattle. It dropped a storm, and it was so crazy because literally by the same time the next week, 98% of it had melted.
Right.
Trees were dead everywhere because of the weight of the snow. And it was just, if you get a chance to find the photos on the internet, go for it. It was so bizarre to live through because we were stuck downtown, and it literally was getting people stuck in their houses. They couldn't open the door. And then, of course, for the older generation, my dad, he got to live during the 1949 blizzard, which was bad enough that they couldn't use locomotives. It was so deep.
No trains.
They wouldn't let my dad go out and play in the snow because they feared he'd disappear. Understandable. They go out there and snow. They go out there and go sledding on Silver Street, and go shooting down the road. It would have been awesome fun. But no, we don't want you to disappear into that mound over there. You stay inside. What a bum. But now, one of the more unique, and this is actually a world record-setting event. It was featured on Ripley's Believe It or Not.
Woo!
Of all shows.
I don't believe it.
This occurred in 1943. For those of you, that's, a good 80 plus years ago. January 22nd. What would wind up happening in Spearfish was the product of one of our envelopes of, warm and cold air that coalesces and all this good stuff. Surprised even the veterans. They like to call this area up here sometimes as the banana belt because sometimes we'll get some really nice weather, milder compared to the rest of South Dakota and the regions. The geography you could blame or thank for this. What was happening is that the hills will act as a barrier against intrusions of cold Arctic air from the north, sheltering the communities on the lee side of the mountains from the worst of the cold, and leading to frequent temperature inversion layers of warmer air that will overrun shallow pools of cold air at the surface. Additionally, warm, moist air from the Pacific Ocean cools as it collides with the Black Hills, wringing out the moisture on the windward slopes. So this dried air then picks up speeds and warms as it races down the leeward slopes, leading to gusty winds that are known as Chinooks. Now, these Chinook winds can lead to rapid changes in the temperature. And that's exactly what happened on the morning of January the 22nd, 1943. Now, the day would start out at a balmy 4 degrees below zero.
Woo, warm day.
Nippy.
It's winter.
Yeah. Well, about 7:32, all of a sudden, this cold front moved over the northeastern Black Hills. The winds began blowing in earnest, causing the temperature to rocket an astounding 45 degrees in just 2 minutes. This 49-degree temperature change was the most extreme ever recorded at the National Weather Service. Later, again repeated on Ripley's Believe It or Not and other national media outlets, it would reach 54 degrees by 9 a.m.
Ooh.
Now, as we like to say, we're not done yet, class.
No.
All of a sudden, the Chinooks would die down just as soon as they appeared, and the temperature would crash 58 degrees in 27 minutes, back down to 4 below. To give you an idea exactly how exciting that was, this would cause plate glass windows and automobile windshields to frost over suddenly and crack due to the abrupt temperature change. I've seen that effect sometimes, and it is really disturbing because you'll be sitting in the car and all of a sudden, creak, 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 and you're like, what the heck? It's not fun, but, it's kind of South Dakotan.
Kind of.
Yeah. Now, the interesting thing also is that it just didn't hit Spearfish, although Spearfish did have the worst temperature polarity. Sturgis and Rapid City both got similarly affected temperatures. In Rapid, it was actually kind of hilarious. First, it went 32 degrees up in 4 minutes at 10:29, then dropped by 22 degrees in 3 minutes at 3:36 at 10:36. Back and forth it went, 60 degrees at 11:57, down to 13 degrees at 12:02, up to 50 degrees at 12:46, 58 degrees at 5:22, and then at 5:26 down to 17. And this was the result of this cold front that was becoming quasi-stationary over western South Dakota. There was a continental Arctic air to the north and a maritime polar air to the south. So they were kind of fighting over who wanted to stay on top of Rapid City longer. In subtle shifts in direction led to extreme temperature swings over an incredibly short distance. The phenomenon would cause streets to frost over immediately, only to melt moments later, making driving hazardous, if not impossible.
What? How dare you?
Now here's the fun part. And since we just stayed at the Alex Johnson, at one point the east side of the Alex Johnson resembled a winter wonderland with spring-like weather found around the corner on the south side.
I love when our town does this. You will have winter on this side of the street and summer on that side of the street. Sometimes it's that side of town and then this side of town. Sometimes it's that side of the street and this side of the street. Everybody's like, what the hell?
You know, everybody's like, okay, was our town bad? You got to go take a calf up on the rock and sacrifice it or something? But it's just, you know, kind of crazy the way the nature will work. And I know there's also been times where our radio station, when it used to do local news,
how dare you,
they would talk about a temperature inversion where it would actually be warmer up in the hills.
Right.
While here down in Rapid, it was, you know, a nippy 20 degrees. Now, what's crazy is that temperatures in Rapid City and Spearfish were recorded on the Montana-Dakota Utilities Company thermometers in both towns. So people could actually drive by and go, what the heck? But, you know, these winds would occur every winter in the Black Hills. Almost 8 decades later, with such drastic fluctuations, have never been equaled. Interesting enough, Spearfish actually does embrace this notoriety. In 2019, it created a new winter festival called Chinook Days to celebrate.
I remember seeing that advertising, actually.
Yeah. And it's celebrating its world record, and naturally, it's held on the closest weekend of the 22nd. They're talking about that they've had it at the amphitheater. Some places like the Spearfish Brewery and Sawyer Brewing released commemorative beers that week. And you can probably find them on Facebook if I remember seeing them a couple times. But yeah, it's just here in the western South Dakota, they've had cases where highways will get completely buried by a 6-foot drift, and the poor county machines will come out and like, we can't reach you. Have some Monopoly tournaments. We'll be out in a couple of days. My brother, for example, he lived to the north end of town, past the mall. And what's so crazy is that they lost power in the trailer the night of the Atlas. And to keep his stuff from, you know, going bad, they said, just stick it in the yard. You know, for 3 days, it's going to be snowing. It's not going to spoil. And so he did. Interestingly enough, the snow was gone before he got the power back. Thanks, guys. Where we were living in the downtown sector, what was really crazy is that, like I was mentioning, is I could watch the snow pile up on the back door and slowly make the window disappear. In the front yard, out the front door, I was watching this power cable and the drift slowly rise toward it. Mm-hmm. And the power line was going down towards it. And I'm like, that's not going to be good eventually. And I think Black Hills Power actually came out later and adjusted the line for us, which was nice of them. But yeah, no, they had, what was so weird with Atlas, and another good example of don't expect anything normal for our weather. The day before Atlas hit, I remember it because we just had this weird rain. And I mean, you know, you think of raindrops. This was globs of water coming out of the sky. And they had this sound like a water balloon splotting. And I remember because we were smart. We'd learned our lesson.
Did we?
We went out grocery shopping the night before. Because one time we had a snowstorm hit. And they decided to close the grocery stores before we could go and get food. A lot of fun that one storm. Don't recommend it.
I remember that because you got to the store like, what, 2 minutes after it closed?
Yeah.
And after that, it's like, if there is even a chance of a storm, we are making sure that we have food for every member of the family, especially the David, since the David is very limited on what he will eat.
Yeah. Welcome to the land of chicken nuggets and David Budd.
I'm sorry, when you have an autistic child, you have to make sure you have what they will eat.
Yeah. But some of the other weird things that they had happen with Atlas was that all these trees, these pretty trees that they used to have on West Boulevard, they got shredded. And the city had to go around with these trucks loading up branches, and then they piled them into 3 different places to get them out of circulation. And for some reason, guess what almost caught on fire a couple of times?
Nothing.
These piles.
How dare you?
But the dumbest episode that I remember after Atlas, actually it started the same morning. There were people that went to work at one of our big members-only stores. Give you a hint that way.
Nah.
And what happened was that these guys parked by the store, and they were like, are they going to close the store? I mean, the weather's getting really bad. Well, by the time the store finally got the okay from people out of state to close, these people couldn't get out to their cars. They could not get the doors open. It snowed that much. The snow had piled up, and they couldn't get their cars to roll either. Now, for the files of dumbness, figure this one out. The company said, well, we can't have you stay at the store. Why not? You have beds here. You have food here. We'll pay for what we... No. Now, they gave them the option. They could go home, they could stay in their cars, or they could hike up the hill to the nearby hotel and stay the night there. One of the ladies was 8 months pregnant. Yeah. From what I understand, that boss is no longer with the company for some reason. I wouldn't know why. But, yeah, Atlas had some absolutely... and what was really crazy is that the other end of the storm, which was over in eastern South Dakota and Iowa and Nebraska, it was causing tornadoes.
Tornadoes!
Oh, yeah. You're like, this storm is not boring, I'll tell you that much, But it was just a case that the storm found a nice channel right from Alberta with the Clipper, and it ran right straight through our state. What was really sucky is that when Atlas went through, it was at the absolute worst time of the year because all the animals were out grazing, and it hit so fast they couldn't get back to their barns. They had cattle that died standing up, and it hit that hard. And they, like in 49, at least they could get out there with, helicopters and trucks and stuff and try to find the cattle and drop supplies to them. With this thing, it was just so fast, it was over that very first day. And they still, the records that they had to report for natural disasters and stuff, it was just crazy. And I think it took the farmers almost 5 years to finally recover. But yeah, no, our weather out here, just like, what we experienced earlier today, where when we left Rapid, it was, it was a little breezy, but nothing out of the ordinary. But by the time we had gotten to just outside of Tilford, it started snowing. And then by the time we made it to the cemetery, the wind was blowing.
It's just amazing how quick the weather can just go.
But yeah, when you talk about the Chinook wind event, I mean, you figure out that it started at 4 below, and by 9 o'clock it was 54 degrees. That's 58 degrees in that short time period. And then straight back down to the cellar. But it's just fact is that this hot pocket settled right in the middle of Spearfish. And we've both been to Spearfish. It's a quaint little town back then. It sat between two main hill areas. And so you can see how if the air cut just the right way, you could get that nice little warm pocket right there. I also remember the opposite effect was kind of nice at times in Rapid, because Rapid would get really hot, and one side of the hill would have clear skies, the other side of the hill had this big black cloud dumping rain, and meanwhile, Custer up in the hills is 10 degrees cooler. So yeah, let's go play vacation down there. But yeah, no, this is definitely South Dakota, where all the weird weather happens, and
weather's weird.
They have forecasted events, and sometimes they might even get the forecast right. Heaven forbid!
How dare you?
I know. And of course,
I can probably count on my both hands number of times that the weatherman has been right in my lifetime. Not just this year, but in my lifetime. That might be a slight exaggeration, but it's close.
I will say the one storm, though, that was crazy was about 2 weeks ago. We had a windstorm that went through, and it hit Montana, Wyoming, western South Dakota, and even into Nebraska. They had trains get tipped over. They had towers get blown over. Roofs came off houses. Yeah, there was this one map one time somebody posted for Montana, and there was like over, I want to say 75 readings of over 80-mile-an-hour gusts. I'm like, no, I'm not flying a kite today, thank you. I'm good. I want to stay in state.
Put a tiger on David's middle, put skate on his feet, and then see how far he can go.
True. We've come up with a new energy source. Wind power. Yeah, right,
It's not controllable. You can't decide where you're going or how far you're going or even when you're going, but you get to go.
Yeah, Whee! But anyway, this has been a wacky and weird Wednesday video for you folks, and have fun. We'll see you next week.
I don't think that's the name of the show.
It's not?
I don't think so.
We're doing a little wacky abbreviation.
Wacky and weird. We're going to add to the channel now. Wacky and Weird Wednesdays. We're going to come up with more creative stories.
True. But then again, this is also historical.
No, it's hysterical.
Well, that too.
Bye-bye.
Bye.